Hi, Shogi fans. Today we're going to take a look at an interesting opening trap. It's called a Deceiver. This is a pretty interesting trap played by Black. And what is interesting about this trap is that a complete beginner won't be trapped with this Deceiver, but I guess medium level players are more likely to be trapped with this one. So let's see how it goes. So when Black plays Deceiver, he plays pawn to 2f first. And then if White plays pawn to 3d, and then you can go for Deceiver with this move. It's pawn to 2e. Normally, this move is not thought to be very good because usually it will give White an opportunity to play this opposing rook here. And although it's not that White is better here, since opposing rook is a very good strategy, Black doesn't want to give White that opportunity. So if I were to show you one example of how an opposing rook can destroy Black's camp, at this position, if Black carelessly moves his king over to 6h, and he has lost this game. You know why? He'll play pawn to 2d, and then bishop check, and no matter what you do now, he's going to check with the bishop anyway, and you lose the rook. So this is the main threat of opposing rook. Of course, it doesn't go this well for White because Black has plenty of ways to deal with it. But anyway, Black doesn't want to give White the opportunity to play opposing rook too easily like this. So that's why this move pawn to 2 is not thought to be good, especially against a ranging rook player. So normally you play like this against a ranging rook player, and after you see him swing the rook over to 4th file or 3rd file, and then you can go pawn to 2e, because if he moves the rook over to 2b now, it means he lost one move there, so it's not so bad for Black, right? Okay, but anyway, in Deceiver, you play pawn to 2e here anyway. Okay, so White will play bishop to 3c, and yes, from here, this is the move you go for Deceiver. It's rook to 2f. So the reason I said a medium level player are more likely to be trapped is if your opponent White was medium level, which means pretty good, he can see that if you move the rook over to 3f in the next move, there's no way that White can protect this pawn. So he'll start to think about how he should prevent that. And if he reads the moves pretty well, he's going to come up with this conclusion. The only way for him to protect the pawn is rook to 3b. So in most cases, White does that. Because then if Black plays rook to 3f, bishop 2b, and the pawn is fine, right? So rook to 3b seems pretty good. I mean, it's even cool, right? So most people does that thinking it's cool. However, now he's already being trapped because now pawn to 7f. And once again, because he's a medium level player, he knows he should reject a bishop exchange when he's playing a ranging rook. Because, you know, basically, if Black can make a bishop trade here, taking with the rook is not a very good position, and if he takes with the knight, Black can break this file anytime later. Does it work now? How about this knight leap, threatening a bishop drop? Oh well, if you propose knight, bishop fork, so maybe Black can break the second file now. Anyway, it's not important. It's just that White plays pawn to 40. Oh, by the way, bishop to 8h, and this fork is not going to work, right? So let's say pawn to 40, but then Black goes ahead with the Deceiver move. It's rook to 4f, trying to take out that pawn on 40. So normally, because he's good enough to be a medium level player, he doesn't want to lose that pawn, so he moves the rook over to 4b. That's the only option for him. But then, look at this. rook to 3f, and you notice something? There's no way white can save that pawn here. It's like we're seeing some kind of magic. That's why it's called a deceiver. And from here, what usually happens is white gives up that pawn, admits he's already in a bad position, and desperately opens this bishop's diagonal and bring it into a full-scale battle like this. Or better one is pawn to 2d. Taking the pawn with a rook is not very good. So you can just take it. The bishop can take it, threatening a promotion. If you defend, he can save his bishop. So you can ignore it and move the rook to 2f, and it's a better position for black. Right, so now that we've learned how a deceiver can work, let's see what white should have done. For one thing, how about not trying to protect this pawn on 4d? Well, basically black's threat is taking the pawn with the rook, actually. If you take it with the bishop, I guess it's the same thing, because this fork, and well, taking the bishop is nonsense, so he takes a rook, and it's the same position, right? So he should just take with the rook, and this is black's threat. You see, it's forking. So one idea for white here is protecting one of them, probably with saber to 4b, and save the lance too. But well, in this case, bishop drop to 6e. I guess black's better. Maybe he can drop a rook here, but well, it's obviously black is better here. Oh, and dropping a rook here is not good. Promoting bishop is more powerful. Oh, even if the deceiver was here, this promotion is powerful than this promotion. So anyway, after this position, white is already playing worse. So let's see how white should deal with this trap. And it's this position. White should not have moved his rook to 3b in the first place. Okay, so here's what he should do. He should just ignore this rook threat on the pawn and push this pawn to 8d. Black will play rook to 3f, but don't care. Just push the pawn to 8e. So as you can see, black can't take this pawn because this pawn position is more powerful. So let's say gold to 7h. Well then, white can move his rook over to 8d, protecting the pawn, and he's fine. Very cool. But moreover, actually white doesn't even have to move his rook to 8d here. And he can just develop his deceiver there, because black still cannot take this pawn even after he moves the gold, because now he can go ahead and look at this. Is threatening a pawn drop, so he has to drop a pawn, but he can move the rook over to here, and it's a big trouble for black. So maybe black will have to make a cool middle block here, attacking the bishop, but then he'll make a bishop trade, and maybe bishop to 4e, similar to side pawn picker opening, bishop 4e strategy. So actually black can't take the pawn yet here. So maybe interesting one here is pawn to 9f. What blacks are trying to do is he's going to move the bishop, threatening a promotion, let him defend there, thus protecting this square, and then he takes out this pawn. So pawn to 9f is pretty interesting. So after he plays like that, maybe rook has to move to 8d anyway. But, you know, he saved his pawn on 3, so he's fine, right? Okay, however, what you have to be careful is, instead of this gold to 7h, black has an option of doing that edge pawn push here. As I've said, he's threatening to move his bishop to here, attacking this pawn and protecting this square, and then take out this pawn. So it seems white has to now move the rook over to 82, but if he does that, he goes ahead anyway, and probably white wants to protect there with the right deceiver, right? But if he does that, bishop 70, he has to stay on that rank, but then bishop to 6f, offering a bishop trade. And you see the bishop drops on these squares are uncomfortable, but he defends there now. He has to take it with the knight, and he's uncomfortable either. So normally he takes it, but rook takes it, and if he defends here now, rook to 6e, and white is in a trouble if he protects there, a bishop fork. So how about protecting these squares with the rook now? Well, then rook to 2f, and this is a very violent position. Basically, black is threatening to exchange the pawns here, but white can go ahead there too, and there's this bishop fork, but there's another bishop counter fork here. This is pretty interesting. But anyway, not so comfortable for white. So actually, if black plays pawn to 9f now, there's a very interesting option. White can play 0 to 6b in advance. Well, then he can only play gold to 7h, and then rook to 8d. Well, if he doesn't move the rook and do something else here, you can take this pawn now. Because if he goes ahead with pawn to 8f, you see this pawn job doesn't work because of this bishop's move. So pawn to 9f is doing a couple of things here. So actually black can simply move the silver here. So if the rook swings over to here, well, it's fine. Black can go ahead here. And because of this silver's move, it's hard for white to protect against the rook's attack, right? So that's why basically at this position, white has to move the rook to 8d. And white's fine here. So now, since black had to use one move to move the gold, it's one move slower than what we've seen. So even if he moves the bishop here, trying to go here, it's too late. He can protect there with the gold, and this bishop is saved by a silver, right? Okay, but still another tricky move. After the silver's defense in advance, instead of gold to 7h, black can still go bishop to 9g, protecting this square and threatening this pawn. And if he moves the rook now, well, it's going to be the same position. So what white does here is pawn to 90. Black takes this pawn to 90, bishop runs, he takes it, and dangling pawn. Very interesting. If black doesn't take the pawn and moves the bishop to here, well then, how about just let him go ahead with the bishop trade. If you take with the pawn, you can't take this pawn later because this bishop's diagonal, so you take with the rook, and white's fine. So I guess that's how white can deal with the Deceiver with pawn to 8d. Here, this move. So this move is recommendable for static rook players, okay? But as we've just seen, this variation is still pretty difficult, not so comfortable for both players. So if you are a ranging rook player, or if you're okay with playing ranging rook, I rather recommend, instead of this pawn to 8d, another good way to deal with a Deceiver, and that is rook to 2b. You just go ahead with opposing rook. Yeah, this is the best way, because it's simply that black has moved his rook to here, coming too near to white's attack. So let's see what happens after this. Black will play rook to 3f, of course, but let's just ignore it and push this pawn to 2d. If you take it, rook can take it and protect this pawn, so it's out of question So you just go ahead taking it, but pawn to 2e, and it's obviously good for white. Maybe black can desperately go for a rook bishop trade and drop it to here, but white can calmly protect this square, and after he makes a horse, he push that pawn, has to protect there with a pawn, and then maybe a rook fork, and white's better. Okay, so that's all for this lesson. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye, everyone.